I want to talk about why we have stopped consuming politics, because I was someone who I spent a huge amount of time consuming politics, particularly when I was early 20s. I started watching politics when I sort of finished high school. It was quite an interesting, exciting thing to do. And I've consumed quite a bit of politics up until, maybe my late teens to early 20s. And it produced a lot of dopamine. It felt like a fun thing to do, but it drained a huge amount of time, and it was really something that became a really bad thing for me to have in my life. Now, there's lots of reasons why politics is bad. I think the first big one is that you're worrying a lot about things outside of your control. There is no control that you have in politics at all. And one of the things is right now, okay, there's nothing in politics you can control right now. If you want to become the kind of person that can influence politics, that is a lot of attention you have to allocate to becoming a person that can influence politics. You don't have time to allocate attention to politics right now if you actually want to influence it, right? We work with what is in our sphere of control. And if our sphere of control gets big enough that you can control politics, start worrying about politics, right? But until then, it has absolutely no place. So the big one is just a huge amount of time, huge amount of attention sucked into things outside of your control. I think another huge thing is that media, just politics in general, huge negative bias. Their main goal is to get people consuming their content. What do people click on? Negative stuff. What are they going to put out there? Negative stuff. What are you listening to when you consume politics, right? Or the news in general? Well, it'll be plane crashes, wars going on, celebrities or famous people dying, scandals in the news, some sort of political race. 9 out of 10, just people dying is basically it, or some sort of political race that you may or may not be even eligible to vote in. For example, I really cared about the 2020 US election. I'm in Australia. I'm like 19 years old in Australia. I have no control over any of this, but it occupied a huge amount of my focus and attention. But the fact that it is so negatively biased and you're consuming so much negative information, it will manifest in you a little bit. Like, as much as we want to think, that's not really true. Like, if you consume a lot of negative stuff, if you're around a lot of negative people, you're going to have that negative bias. If you consume a lot of positive stuff, if you're around a lot of positive people, you'll develop that positive bias. One of the big issues that I've found with politics is there's a huge negative bias. You think so pessimistically about the world. You think that everything's bad, everyone is bad. And then, now that I've stopped consuming politics, I look around and I realize, basically everything about my life is way better than it was 5 years ago. Way better. And I wouldn't know that if I just consumed the media and the politics and everything. I would think that, if I walk outside, someone's going to shoot me. And the world is absolutely terrible. So that was a big one. And then the third big thing probably the biggest reason that I thought politics was just a horrible thing for my life, is that it brainwashes you. It 100% brainwashes you. Because how is it that there's only 2 opinions in the world? There's 50 different things that you could hold opinions for, but everyone holds all the opinions about one thing, or everyone holds the exact opposite about the other. These could be completely contradictory things to believe, but because one side believes it, you believe everything. Which means that you're now no longer thinking for yourself. You're letting someone else think for you. And how are you truly going to come up with your own beliefs, your own opinions, if all you're doing is just listening to the same talking points, the same people saying the exact same things over and over again, indoctrinating yourself into believing a certain way? I'm not talking to someone who's displaying their political beliefs. I'm talking to someone displaying Ben Shapiro's political beliefs, or I'm talking to someone who's displaying CNN's political beliefs. I'm not actually understanding what you truly believe. This has nothing to do with your true intrinsic values. This is just an ideology that you've forced upon yourself by the sort of media you've been consuming. So that's a big reason, bit of a rant there, but a big reason why I just hate politics. And I think it has no place in my life.
Yeah, you touched on all the big cornerstones there. And I think the last one was probably the most important, related to identity. You just become a mirror for the things that you consume. If you really wanted to form your own opinion and you had 24 hours to do so, you would not spend 24 hours consuming news and politics content. You would maybe spend 4 hours, then you would sit down, think about it, come up with your own ideas and thoughts on it, and then present your unique opinion about things related to, politics, news, whatever. But that's not how anyone operates. Everyone operates by choosing a news source, watching 100% of everything that they put out, and then regurgitating that same information to other people, and then staking their identity behind it, and like dying on that hill. And it's all stuff that's out of your control. It's really mind-boggling that, because just being out of it and seeing people that are in it so consumed by it, it's almost like hard to believe. And it's so common. And there's this aspect to it of like keeping up with the Joneses, I think, Keeping up with the Joneses, like, oh, I've got to have the car, I've got to have the house, everything has to look right for the neighborhood I'm in. You got to, impress the right people. A part of that is like, oh, did you watch the news last night? Are you up with what's going on here and there? But if what's going on is just negative, like death and abuse and opinions that aren't yours being shoved down your throat, like why are we forcing each other to all keep up with this?
Yeah.
It's odd. I find it odd.
Yeah. Two things to add to that. First of all, how much of what you consume is still relevant in 3 months?
So little, because everything that's newsworthy, it's just a headline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you genuinely consumed a lot of politics and then looked at what you consumed 3 months ago and saw what was relevant, it would be basically nothing of what you consumed. That's a big one. And then another one that I forgot to really touch on, but is probably the biggest one, is it makes people hate you.
True.
Like half of the people are going to maybe like you a bit more for your opinions, but half the people just hate you.
Yeah.
Half the people actually just hate you for your beliefs that aren't even your beliefs. It's someone else's beliefs that have been forced upon you. And people start to really dislike you. And that's one of the big things that I found when I moved to, we both went to college together, and we're around open-minded people, but they're not necessarily that open-minded to other opinions, and neither was I. And it just meant that everyone just absolutely, we just didn't get along. There was a lot of clashing over opinions that neither person genuinely came to on their own accord. So why are we making people hate us? Why are we consuming a bunch of negative information? Why are we worrying about things outside of our control? Why are we putting so much of our time and attention into something that just has zero positive impact on your life?
Yeah, you're choosing to support a team that's going to go fight a war that only negatively affects you and is completely out of your control. Like, at least if you support a sports team, you get to like share in the victories and like there's a bit more camaraderie and stuff. But like choosing a side in politics just for them to go at each other and have probably like 50 or like 33% of the population think negatively of you because of those beliefs that you probably don't even hold, you're just regurgitating. That you probably are just passed down from your parents too. Like a lot of this is just like what you grew up watching, what news and politics is just like you've been surrounded by. You just go, oh, I don't really care that much. I just like watch a bit here and there, and like that's who they like, so I like them too.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
All right, we can go on, or we can go on all day about politics. It is a crazy one, but let's move on here. That was a clip from the Modern Monk podcast. If you guys want 30-day early access to the full episodes, if you want to watch them live, and if you want to participate in Q&A calls after the podcast, then you can do all of that for free at school.com/modernmonk. I'll leave a link in the description below for that. I'll see you there.